O-Level Chemistry, Paper Code 5070, Paper 2 Variant 1, May June 19. Today we will solve Section A of the paper. Section A, question number 1. Choose from the particle shown to answer the questions. Here we have some particles. Each particle can be used once, more than once, or not at all. Part A, which particle has only 20 protons in the nucleus? Here, this 35, in case of bromine, it is called proton number. This 79, it is called nucleon number. And proton number means number of protons. So here we can say in bromine, we have total 35 protons. Now here it is asked, we have to find out the particle that have 20 protons. 20 protons means proton number 20. Now if we check the list, it is clear that in calcium proton number is 20. So here we can say number of protons 20 are in calcium. So what is our answer? Our answer is calcium. Part B, which particle has a nucleon number of 35? Nucleon number means sum of proton and neutron. Here in case of bromine, this 79 is called nucleon number of bromine. Now here we have to find out the particle that has nucleon number 35. Now from the list it is clear that in chlorine 1735 nucleon number is given 35. So here our answer is chlorine 1735. Part C, which particle has an electronic structure of 288? 288 means total number of electrons 2, 8, 10, 10 and 8, 18. So here we have to find out the particle that contains 18 electrons. In case of bromine, proton number is 35. In a neutral atom, the number of protons and number of electrons are same. So here we can say in case of bromine, the number of electrons will be 35. Here number of electrons will be 20. Here number of electrons will be 17. Here number of electrons will be 18. Why it will be 18? Here proton number is given 17. So the number of electrons in neutral chlorine atom will also be 17. Now here it is shown chloride ion. Chloride ion means it has gained 1 electron. Since it has gained 1 electron, so total number of electrons in this chloride ion will be 17 plus 1, it will be 18. So total number of electrons 18 are in chloride ion. So the electronic configuration will be 288. 2 electrons in the first orbital, 8 electrons in the second orbital and 8 electrons will be in third orbital. Part D, which particle is an atom with only 10 neutrons in its nucleus? How we get number of neutrons? It is nucleon number. It is proton number. To get the number of neutrons, we have to subtract proton number from nucleon number. And whatever be the difference, this difference is called number of neutrons. Now if we check all the particles, we will get 10 neutrons in neon and in oxygen ion, in this oxide ion. In neon, the proton number is 10, nucleon number is 20, so number of neutron will be 20 minus 10, it will be 10. Again in this oxide ion, nucleon number is 18, proton number is 8, so the difference will also be 10. So number of neutrons will be 10 in neon and also number of neutrons 10 in this oxide ion. Now we check the question again. In part D, it is called which particle is an atom? This oxide ion is an ion. It is not an atom. Atom is neon. So here our answer will be neon. We cannot write oxygen because oxygen is not in neutral state. It is in ionic form. It is in ionic state. Part E. Which particle is an atom of a transition element? What are transition elements? If we check the periodic table, in the periodic table, it is called 1A group, it is 2A group, it is 3A group. In between 2A and 3A group, the elements given here are called transition elements. Now if we check the list, in the list the transition element is, here it is given copper. This copper belongs to transition element. Here it is copper and copper belongs to transition element, so our answer will be copper. So what we have to write here? Just we have to write copper. Now it is end of the question. Next question. Question number 2. The table shows some of the properties of the elements in group 2 of the periodic table. These are the members of 2A group. It is proton number of these elements. Here it is atomic radius and here the melting point is given. Part A. Explain why the element of group 2 have similar chemical properties. All the members of 2A group have similar chemical properties because of the fact that all the elements of 2A group have same number of electrons in their last orbital. In all the elements of 2A group, in their last orbital there is 2 electrons. So just we have to write here, they all have same number of electrons in their last orbital. Part B. Explain why it is easier to predict the atomic radius of radium than the melting point of radium. Atomic radius, when we move from beryllium towards radium, we are looking that atomic radius is gradually increasing. So here we can predict the atomic radius of radium, it will be more than the atomic radius of barium. Whereas in melting point, we are looking that melting point have not a steady trend. Here melting point first decreases then increases. So here we cannot predict the melting point of radium. Atomic radius can be predicted but melting point cannot be predicted. So what you have to write here? When move down the group, atomic radius is increasing. So radius is predictable, whereas melting point has no definite trend. First it decreases and then increases, so it cannot be predicted. Part C. Magnesium chloride contains magnesium ion and chloride ion. Write the electronic configuration for a magnesium ion. Magnesium, it is magnesium. Magnesium belongs to 2A group and number of protons or number of electrons in magnesium is 12. Now here it is asked electronic configuration of magnesium ion. On magnesium ion there is 2 positive charge. 2 positive charges means 2 electrons are lost. So in magnesium ion total number of electrons will be 10. Now if we write the electronic configuration of this magnesium ion, 2 electrons will be in first orbital, 8 electrons will be in second orbital. So total electrons are 2 plus 8, it will be 10. And in magnesium ion, magnesium plus 2 ion, we have only 10 electrons. Second part, magnesium is produced by the electrolysis of molten magnesium chloride. Construct equation for the reaction taking place at the negative electrode and at the positive electrode. Negative electrode means cathode. Towards cathode, positive charge will be migrated and this positive charge will gain electron and it will be converted to neutral atom. So at negative electrode, at cathode, this magnesium positive ion will be migrated. It will gain 2 electrons and it will be converted to magnesium atom. Now at the positively charged electrode, at anode, this chloride ion will migrate and chlorine gas will be liberated. Part D. Magnesium reacts with aqueous copper sulfate in a redox reaction. Which particle is reduced? Here it is given magnesium, it reacts with copper ion and we get magnesium ion and copper atom. Now reduction means gain of electron. Here we are looking that magnesium is converting to magnesium ion, it is converting to +2 ion, means it has lost 2 electron and loss of electron is called oxidation. So here we can say magnesium is undergoing oxidation. Here copper ion has 2 positive charge and after the reaction it is converting to copper atom. Means here oxidation state is changing from +2 to 0. Oxidation state changing from plus to 0 means it has gained 2 electrons. Since it has gained 2 electrons, so here we can say it has reduced. So which particle has reduced? Copper +2 ion is reduced. Explain your answer. Explain your answer. Just we have to write here that copper ion gains 2 electrons and gain of electron is called reduction. So what we have to write here? Copper ion gains 2 electrons and gain of electron is reduction. Part E. Magnesium reacts with steam. Name the product of the reaction. When we react magnesium with steam, we get magnesium oxide and hydrogen. So just we have to write here magnesium oxide and hydrogen gas. Part F. Calcium reacts with cold water. Write down the equation for the reaction. Calcium reacts with water and it forms calcium hydroxide and hydrogen gas is liberated. So it is the balance equation of the reaction. Part G. Magnesium chloride is a soluble salt. Describe how a pure sample of magnesium chloride crystals can be made from magnesium. We react excess of magnesium with hydrochloric acid. When we react excess of magnesium with hydrochloric acid, these two react together and we get magnesium chloride and hydrogen gas is liberated. Since we have taken excess of magnesium, so some of the magnesium is unreacted. This magnesium is insoluble, this magnesium chloride is soluble. So we will filtrate the solution. This magnesium will be separated as a residue and in the solution we will get this magnesium chloride. Now this magnesium chloride solution is heated gently. When we will heat gently, the excess of water is removed and it is cooled down slowly, and when we will cool down slowly, it will be converted to magnesium chloride crystals. So what we have to write here? Excess of magnesium is added with hydrochloric acid and gently heated. It reacts and forms magnesium chloride solution and hydrogen gas. Filter the sample and by filtering the unreacted insoluble magnesium is removed as a residue. Now heat the filtrate gently to remove the excess water. Allow to cool down to get crystals of magnesium chloride. Okay, next question. Question number 3. Molybdenum is a transition element. Part A suggests one physical property of molybdenum that is typical to transition element. Transition elements have high melting point, high boiling point, all of them conduct electricity. So we can write any physical property. Here we have taken high melting point. Part B suggests one chemical property of molybdenum compounds that is typical to compound of transition elements. Transition elements have variable oxidation state. As an example, in iron, the oxidation state is +2 and also +3. So here we can write variable oxidation state. Part C. Molybdenum steel is an extremely hard alloy. Suggests using ideas about metallic structure why molybdenum steel is much harder than pure iron. A label diagram may help you answer this question. Molybdenum steel is an alloy. Alloy means mixture of two or more than two different metals. All the metals have different atomic sizes, So definitely molybdenum and steel will have different atomic size. And because of different atomic sizes, it will be difficult for the atoms to slide over each other. This property makes an alloy harder. So what we have to write here? Molybdenum is mixture of molybdenum and iron. It is better we write here iron. Because of different atomic size, atoms cannot slide over each other. That makes it harder than that of a pure metal. Part D. Molybdenum steel is made by reducing a mixture of molybdenum oxide and ferric oxide with aluminum. Here the equation is given. Molybdenum steel contains 20% by mass of molybdenum. In this molybdenum oxide, percentage of molybdenum is 20. Calculate the mass of molybdenum oxide needed to make 1000 gram of molybdenum steel. Give the answer to three significant figures. The relative atomic mass of molybdenum is 96. Here we have to find out the mass of molybdenum oxide. To calculate the mass of molybdenum oxide, first we will calculate the mass of molybdenum. Now molybdenum in molybdenum steel is 20%, and here it is given we have to prepare 1000 gram of molybdenum steel. So in 1000 gram of molybdenum steel, the mass of molybdenum will be 20 over 100 multiplied by 1000. It will be 200 gram. So mass of molybdenum will be 200 gram. Now we will calculate the number of moles of molybdenum. Number of moles is given as mass over molecular mass. Mass of molybdenum we have calculated here 200. Molecular mass is given 96. So number of moles of molybdenum will be 2.083 moles. Now from the balance equation, it is shown that number of moles of molybdenum oxide and number of moles of molybdenum are same. Here the number of moles of molybdenum we have calculated 2.083. So definitely we will also have number of moles of molybdenum oxide 2.083. So here number of moles of molybdenum oxide is 2.083. Now with the help of this number of moles of molybdenum oxide, we can calculate the mass of molybdenum oxide by using the formula mass of molybdenum oxide is equal to number of moles multiplied by molecular mass. Number of moles is 2.083. What is molecular mass of molybdenum oxide? Atomic mass of molybdenum is 96. For oxygen it is 16. Here we have 3 oxygens, so it will be 16 multiplied by 3, 48. So molecular mass of molybdenum oxide will be 96 plus 48. And by solving this one, we will get the answer in 3 significant figure 300 gram. So mass of molybdenum oxide is 300 gram. Next question. Question number 4. Air is a source of many gases. What is the percentage by volume of nitrogen in dry air? Percentage of nitrogen in dry air is 78. So here just we have to write 78%. Part B. Outline the separation of oxygen, nitrogen and noble gases from liquid air. From liquid air, we can separate oxygen, nitrogen and noble gases by using the technique of fractional distillation. What we have to do in fractional distillation? In fractional distillation, the liquid air is boiled and it changes to gaseous state. These gases are separated and collected because of different boiling points. The gas with highest boiling point will be collected at the bottom and the gas with lowest boiling point will be collected at the top. Next part. Part C. State one large scale use of nitrogen. Nitrogen is used in fertilizers, so we can write here to make fertilizers. Part D. Air contains gaseous pollutants. Name one gas that contributes to acid rain. The gas that contributes to acid rain is the nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide. So here we can write any one of it. I have taken here sulfur dioxide. Next part, state one environmental consequence of an increase in the percentage of carbon dioxide in the air. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas that is one of the cause of increase in global warming. So here we can write increase in global warming. Part 3. Describe the source of carbon monoxide in air. Carbon monoxide is formed because of incomplete combustion of carbon. So when we will burn hydrocarbons in a closed container in a closed room, we will get carbon monoxide gas because of incomplete combustion of the hydrocarbon. So here just we can write incomplete combustion of carbon. Question number 5. Acid U is a compound containing carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Part A. A 6.3 gram sample of U contains 1.68 gram of carbon, 0.14 gram of hydrogen. Calculate the empirical formula of U. To find out the empirical formula, the first step we should have mass of all the elements present in the compound. In the compound U, we have carbon, we have hydrogen and oxygen. Now here mass of carbon is 1.68, mass of hydrogen is 0.14 and mass of the total sample is given 6.3. So whatever be the remaining mass, that mass will be mass of oxygen. So mass of oxygen will be 6.3 minus sum of these two masses, it will be equal to 4.48. So mass of oxygen will be 4.48. Now the next step we have to find out the number of moles. To find out the number of moles, we have to divide the given mass by their relative atomic mass. Mass of carbon is given 1.68, atomic mass of carbon is 12. So we have to divide 1.68 by 12, we will get 0.14. For hydrogen, mass is given 0.14, relative atomic mass is 1. So here number of moles of hydrogen will be 0.14. For oxygen, mass is 4.48 and relative atomic mass of oxygen is 16. So by dividing 4.48 by 16, we will get 0.28. So number of moles of carbon is 0.14, number of moles of hydrogen is 0.14, number of moles of oxygen is 0.28. Next step is to find out the simplest ratio. How we get simplest ratio? The ratios we obtained here, it is divided by the smallest ratio. Now here we have three ratios. Out of three ratios, we have 0.14 which is the smallest one. So we have to divide all the ratios by 0.14. When we will divide this ratio 0.14 by 0.14, we will get 1. Again in hydrogen we will get 1 and in oxygen we will get 2 because here we have to divide this 0.28 by 0.14. Now simplest ratio is 1 for carbon, for hydrogen 1 and for oxygen it is 2. So what will be the empirical formula? Empirical formula will be CHO2. Next part B. 0.086 gram sample of U is completely neutralized by 12.7 centimeter cube of 0.150 mole per decimeter cube potassium hydroxide. 1 mole of U reacts with 2 moles of potassium hydroxide. Calculate the relative formula mass of U. To find out relative formula mass of U, first we have to calculate number of moles of U. And in order to get number of moles of U, first we have to find out number of moles of potassium hydroxide. Now to find out number of moles of potassium hydroxide, we will take help of the formula concentration is equal to number of moles over volume of solution in decimeter cube. From this formula we can say number of moles is equal to concentration into volume of solution in decimeter cube. So here number of moles of potassium hydroxide will be equal to volume multiplied by concentration in decimeter cube. Here volume is given 12.7 centimeter cube, but here volume we have to consider in decimeter cube. That's why this volume we have to divide by 1000. When we will divide 12.7 by 1000, we will get 0.0127. So here this 0.0127 is volume in decimeter cube. This 0.150 is concentration of the solution in mole per decimeter cube. By solving this one, we will get 0.001905 moles. So here number of moles of potassium hydroxide is 0.001905 mole. Now here from this relation, 1 mole of U reacts with 2 moles of potassium hydroxide. It is clear that number of moles of U is half of number of moles of potassium hydroxide. So here for number of moles of U, we can say number of moles of U will be half of this number of moles, or in other words we can say this number of moles of U will be 0.5 multiplied by number of moles of potassium hydroxide. Now by solving this one, we will get 0.009525 moles. So number of moles of U is 0.009525 mole. Now here to find out relative formula mass, we will take help of the formula number of moles is equal to mass over molecular mass. From this equation we can say molecular mass is equal to mass over number of moles. Now mass is given 0.086. Number of moles of U we have calculated, it is 0.009525. By solving we will get 90.3, that is approximately equal to 90. So relative formula mass is 90 gram. Part C. What is the molecular formula of U? Molecular formula is given as empirical formula into N. Now empirical formula we have calculated in the previous part, it is CHO2. What is N? N is ratio of molecular mass and empirical formula mass. Molecular mass we have calculated in the previous part, it is 90. So here molecular mass is 90. What is empirical formula mass? Empirical formula mass will be mass of all the atoms present in this empirical formula. Empirical formula is CHO2. In this CHO2, mass of carbon is 12, mass of hydrogen is 1, mass of oxygen is 2 multiplied by 16, it is 32. So by solving this one, we will get 45, and by further solving, we will get 2. So here value of N is 2. Now this value of N, that is equal to 2, we have to multiply by CHO2. When we will multiply this 2 by CHO2, we will get C2H2O4. So here molecular formula of U will be C2H2O4. Now next question. Question number 6. Propanoic acid is a weak acid. Calcium hydroxide and calcium oxide are bases. What is the meaning of term acid in weak acid? Acids are defined as those substances in aqueous state produce hydrogen ion. So here simply we can say acid means aqueous solution containing hydrogen ion. Part B. What is meaning of term weak in weak acid? What is meant by weak acid? Weak acids are those acids that do not decompose into its ions completely. So just you have to write here acid that does not decompose into its ion completely. Part C. Describe how universal integrator can be used to find the pH of dilute propanoic acid. Universal integrator is just like a paper, it is a chart. We will dip this universal integrator in the dilute propanic acid and we will match the color with the color chart to get the pH value of dilute propanoic acid. But here by using the universal integrator, we will not get the exact pH value, we get just an approximate value. Okay, just we have to write here dip universal integrator in dilute propanoic acid and match the color with a color chart. Next part D. Give a large scale use of calcium hydroxide that depends on its basic character. Calcium hydroxide is alkaline in nature, it is basic in nature, and it is normally used to reduce the acidity of soil. So here we have to write it is used to reduce the acidity of soil. Part E. Calcium oxide reacts with water to form calcium hydroxide. The reaction is exothermic. Use ideas about bond breaking and bond forming to explain why the reaction is exothermic. During a chemical reaction, there is a bond forming and also bond breaking. During bond breaking, energy is absorbed, means it is an endothermic reaction, whereas in bond formation, energy is released. So we can say bond formation is an exothermic reaction. Now in general, if a reaction is an exothermic reaction, we can say during this reaction, bond formation energy is more than the bond breaking energy. So what we have to write here? During bond breaking, energy is absorbed, it is endothermic, and during bond forming, energy is released, means it is exothermic. In exothermic reaction, energy is released to surrounding, means bond forming energy is more than bond breaking energy. Okay, now we have completed all 6 questions from section A. Section B we will solve in the next session. Thank you very much.